Tonight's story begins with a headline that has ricocheted across social media like a lightning bolt. One of those stories that stops you mid-scroll, makes you blink twice, and ask, he said what? Because when the father of one of the most powerful and influential men on Earth speaks, the world listens, even when the words are explosive. And this time, Errol Musk didn't just spark conversation. He ignited a firestorm. In a newly surfaced interview for CNN's upcoming special Misinfo Nation White Genocide, Errol Musk claimed that America is, quote, headed back to the jungle if white people become a minority. A statement so loaded, so provocative, and so steeped in decades of racial tension that the internet immediately erupted. Comments shot across X, TikTok, Reddit, and YouTube like sparks from a live wire. Some were stunned, others furious. Some defended him. And others didn't know what to make of it. But everyone, absolutely everyone, had something to say. And that's why tonight we are diving deep into what was said, how the world reacted, why this topic hit such a nerve, and how Errol Musk found himself at the center of a conversation much, much bigger than him. Because make no mistake, this story isn't just about one interview. It's about culture, politics, race, fear, power, perception, and who gets to define America's future. Let's begin where the headline started. According to TMZ, who first broke the story, Errol Musk didn't just casually make his comments. He made them with absolute certainty, without hesitation, without softening or caution. When asked about the notion that white Americans may eventually become a minority, a demographic shift long predicted by researchers, his immediate response was, "Bad thing." The interviewer pressed him. "Bad thing?" And Errol doubled down. He said America would go down and back to the jungle if that happened. Those were his exact words. To call those comments shocking would be an understatement. People described them as outdated, inflammatory, racially insensitive, dangerously reductive, historically inaccurate, and reminiscent of long debunked conspiracy narratives. But Errol didn't stop there. He brought up South Africa, his home country, suggesting that he didn't witness oppression of Black Africans growing up. He claimed white South Africans fed and grew the Black African population, a statement that historians quickly pointed out ignores decades of apartheid, state-sanctioned segregation, and systemic injustice. And this is where things get even more intense. Because Errol Musk is not just a random figure. He's not a fringe commentator. He's the father of Elon Musk, one of the wealthiest, most influential, most polarizing people on the planet. Meaning his words carry a shadow that stretches far beyond himself. Online, the immediate question became, does Elon agree with him? Should Elon respond? Will this affect Elon's companies? Is this going to turn political? Is this going to spiral into another social media war? Because when a parent of a world-famous public figure speaks on polarizing issues, the ripple effect is unavoidable. And America, already divided on so many fronts, felt yet another crack forming. But why exactly did Errol's comments hit so hard? It's not just what he said, it's how he said it. It's where he said it, and it's why he said it. Let's break it down. First, his comments lean into a narrative widely criticized by civil rights groups, academic researchers, and sociologists, the white genocide myth. A fear-based conspiracy that claims white populations are being systematically replaced. It's an idea often used by extremist groups to justify xenophobia, racism, and violence. It's been debunked, disproven, discredited, and yet it refuses to disappear. So when Errol Musk echoed similar rhetoric, even if unintentionally, he stepped directly into one of the most volatile debates of our era. Second, his framing. America going back to the jungle immediately triggered outrage because it relies on language historically used to demean non-white populations. Phrases like that carry a painful legacy, one tied to colonialism and racist ideologies. Third, his dismissal of South African apartheid as something he didn't see struck a nerve. Many argued that this comment reflects privilege, detachment, or denial, especially given the massive documentation of racial injustice during the era in which he lived. And then there's the Elon Musk factor. Every time Errol Musk says something controversial, Elon is dragged into it, whether he wants to be or not. This isn't the first time Errol has made headlines for eyebrow-raising statements. In fact, he has built something of a reputation for being blunt, unapologetic, and unpredictable. But this time, because the topic is race, a topic already at the center of global tension, the impact is magnified. Social media reactions flooded in within minutes. One user wrote, "America isn't doomed because of demographics. It's doomed because people like him think diversity equals decline." Another posted, "Elon needs to get his dad. This is embarrassing." Someone else said, "He's just saying what a lot of people secretly believe, but are too afraid to say." A political commentator chimed in, "This is the problem. People think minority status means chaos. It doesn't. It just means change." Meanwhile, others defended him, arguing that he was expressing concern over cultural identity, not hatred. But that argument quickly clashed with the phrasing he used, phrasing that many found deeply problematic. In essence, the internet became a battlefield of opinions, each side convinced they were seeing the truth. But beyond the noise, beyond the memes and the debates, there is a deeper question. What makes comments like these so powerful? And why do they resonate so intensely in today's America? To understand that, we have to take a step back and look at the bigger picture. Recent demographic studies predict that within a few decades, no single racial group will hold majority status in the United States. Not white Americans, not black Americans, not Asian Americans, not Hispanic Americans, no group. Instead, America will become what many call a plurality nation, where diversity is the norm, not the exception. Some see this as a natural progression in a multicultural society. Others see it as a threat to traditional identity. And still others, particularly those influenced by fear-based rhetoric, interpret it through a lens of catastrophe. This tension is the backdrop against which Errol Musk made his statement. He touched a raw nerve because he spoke into a conversation millions of people are already having, publicly or privately, calmly or fearfully, optimistically or anxiously. His comments didn't create the debate, they amplified it. And here's where the controversy deepens. Because Errol Musk didn't make his remarks on a random YouTube channel or in an offhanded tweet. He made them as part of a major CNN special on misinformation and racially charged conspiracy theories. Which raises the question, was he intentionally being provocative? Was he trying to send a warning? Was he reinforcing the very misconception the documentary hopes to address? Or was he simply speaking without considering the gravity of his words? The special aims to dissect how misinformation spreads and how fear-based narratives take hold. And Errol Musk has now become a central figure in that exploration. But whether he meant to or not, his comment gave the story a new life, a life far beyond a documentary trailer. Let's talk about Elon Musk, because people online wasted no time dragging him into the conversation. Some demanded he address the situation publicly. Some insisted he cannot be held responsible for his father's views. Some accused him of sharing similar ideological leanings. Others argued he has distanced himself from Errol for years. What complicates things further is the well-documented tension between Elon and his father. Elon has openly described his relationship with Errol as difficult, painful, and even traumatic. He has said publicly that his father is not someone he considers a role model. But none of that stopped people from drawing connections, asking questions, or demanding accountability. Because in the world of celebrity culture, especially when that celebrity is one of the world's wealthiest men, the line between family and public perception is always blurry. And while Elon has remained silent for now, the pressure is building. What makes this situation even more interesting is the generational divide in reactions. Older audiences were more split, with some agreeing outright and others condemning the language but acknowledging concerns about cultural change. Younger audiences, however, overwhelmingly rejected Errol's stance, describing it as outdated, rooted in fear, and disconnected from reality. One TikTok creator summed it up by saying, "Only people who can't imagine sharing power are afraid of losing it." The younger generation sees diversity as inevitable, normal, something to celebrate, not fear, which makes Errol's comments sound to them like relics of a past era. This generational clash added a whole new layer to the conversation, with debates turning into lectures, lectures turning into arguments, arguments turning into viral videos. And while all this was happening, political pundits quickly inserted themselves into the story. Some conservative commentators defended Errol, saying he was voicing legitimate concerns about cultural erosion, immigration, and political power shifts. Progressive commentators fired back, calling his comments racist fear-mongering disguised as demographic analysis. Moderates tried to walk a delicate line, acknowledging that demographic change brings challenges, but insisting that diversity does not equal destruction. And so the story grew, and grew, and grew, until it became far more than a headline. It became a question. Who gets to define America's future? What does it mean to belong? Is diversity strength or threat? And why do some people react to change with fear instead of possibility? Errol Musk's words became the spark, but the fire that followed revealed a much deeper tension simmering beneath the surface. But let's pull back for a moment, because behind the controversy, behind the public outrage, behind all the think pieces and reaction videos, there is something undeniably fascinating. Errol Musk spoke with absolute certainty. And certainty, especially certainty built on fear, is powerful. Fear of losing power, fear of losing identity, fear of losing control, fear of being replaced, fear of becoming invisible. These fears don't just show up in interviews. They show up in elections. They show up in school boards. They show up in online conversations. They show up in dinner table debates. They show up in the way communities interpret change. And that's why his comments caught fire so quickly. They touched on the fear beneath the fear. A fear that many people don't admit out loud. A fear some don't even realize they have. A fear others deny completely. But what happens when fear guides the narrative? What happens when fear shapes public perception? What happens when someone with Errol Musk's platform pours fuel on an already blazing cultural conversation? Suddenly, the story shifts from controversial comments to something much bigger. Suddenly, it becomes a reflection of a country still wrestling with identity, equality, and the meaning of majority. Suddenly, it becomes a mirror held up to the anxieties, histories, biases, beliefs, and uncertainties that shape the nation. Because the truth is this: Errol Musk didn't create the conversation. He stepped into one already burning. And now, as the debate expands, as more voices join in, as more people dissect every word, every implication, every historical parallel, the story takes on a life of its own. It becomes a journey through the fears people carry, the assumptions society holds, and the future America is moving toward, whether people are ready for it or not. And that journey continues as the conversation shifts from Errol's comments to the powerful backlash, to the political and cultural ripple effects already unfolding, to the question of what happens next as the world continues reacting in real time. And as the dust continues to swirl around Errol Musk's explosive comments, something unexpected is happening. People aren't just reacting to what he said. They're using his words to confront the deeper, uncomfortable truths about how America views identity, belonging, and power. Across social platforms, creators began breaking down the timeline of America's demographic shifts. Experts chimed in with data. Historians unpacked the language Errol used. Civil rights organizations responded with statements. And political analysts started asking the one question no one can ignore: why does the idea of becoming a minority feel threatening to some people? Because statistically, demographers have been saying for years that America is heading toward a multi-ethnic, multiracial future. A future where diversity is not something to manage, but something that simply is. A future where cultural identities blend, overlap, reshuffle, and evolve. A future that mirrors the direction of most major global cities today. But fear doesn't care about data. Fear responds to memory, not math. Fear responds to stories, not statistics. Meanwhile, in the background, Elon Musk remained quiet. No tweets, no statements, no clarifications. Silence. And that silence became its own talking point. Commentators speculated whether he was distancing himself or simply refusing to engage. Some people demanded he speak out. Others argued he shouldn't have to answer for his father's viewpoints. But whether he speaks or not, the truth remains. Errol Musk's comments have already entered the cultural bloodstream. People are debating race. People are debating fear. People are debating identity. People are debating America's future. And every debate pushes this story further, forcing society to confront questions most people avoid until controversy forces them into the spotlight. Because once a conversation like this begins, it doesn't end neatly. It doesn't disappear quietly. It continues, reshapes, and echoes in ways no one can predict. And maybe that's the real impact of this entire moment. It exposed how fragile conversations about race still are. It revealed the layers of fear people carry. It showed how quickly words from a single interview can ignite a national dialogue. And it reminded everyone that the future of America is not something to fear. It's something to define. This story may have started with Errol Musk, but where it goes next will be decided by the millions of people now talking about it, arguing about it, and shaping it with every opinion shared online. Because the conversation isn't over. It's only evolving. If you want more breakdowns, more deep dives, and more explosive entertainment stories just like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and stay locked in for the next story. We've got a lot more coming.